It's not so much topical. It just caught my eye because this is one of those stories that don't really it doesn't really tend to, or one of those issues that doesn't really get the coverage that I think it deserves. Um, Caring is a big responsibility. It's a big social responsibility. But I think doubling it, especially when you're a young carer, when your older people of the family take a turn for the worst. You don't necessarily have the siblings or cousins, as many of them, to kind of pick up the slack as you'd like. So suddenly you've got a whole bunch of responsibilities foisted upon you. So just reading this particular article, there's a story about this 19-year-old lady who was a uni student, who pretty much had her plans, at least in terms of getting a job, a career, to make something of a life, but that kind of goes ass over tit when suddenly her folks have ill health. So suddenly she has a lot of caring responsibilities, and her own goals had to be put on the back burner. And I kind of think that needs to get a bit more attention. And the other thing as well is, like, being a young carer is a very stressful thing. Lots of responsibilities. You suddenly have to be very, very old very, very quickly. And yeah, I just thought that maybe that's something that could be a bit more in the public domain to talk about those issues and identify and respect, especially considering the fact that young people get bashed a lot. People have different identities and different stories, and I think this is a very much an unheard one.
I think the most that you hear about this, as far as young carers go, is like teenage pregnancy and stuff like the really murky side of things, not necessarily a far more human story such as this is, like, because from the sounds of things, like, this woman had everything lined up, all her ducks in a row, ready to make something of herself, and then her folks take a turn for the worse. And it's disheartening. And it's just heartbreaking that you kind of have to put everything on the back burner to now have to take up this other responsibility, which is probably going to take up a hell of a lot of your time as well. So, and I've seen it firsthand, like with my brother and stuff, because he has Asperger's.
Okay.
So a lot of mum's time is spent, making sure that he's okay and, he's going to be sorted. And, like, there's services out there that sort of mitigate that, but it's still very, mum-centric, basically. And then you got people with chronic illnesses and stuff like that, and it's just, it can become a bit of a burden. And if you're as young as 19, even younger, it's just, a lot of growing up very quickly, and it just takes it out of you, basically.
I think with caring and all that kind of thing, even just volunteering, I don't think there's enough emphasis of what you can get out of it as a young person. I've been blessed enough to have the opportunity to have done a lot of volunteering, and what I notice is that usually you find this something to do and give back to life at an older age, and this kind of thing is different to what we're talking about, because it's something that you just happens and you put into it.
You more have to do it rather than volunteer.
Yeah, totally. But there's not much said about it. We've got this society who's just so obsessed with how we look and image and this, that, and chasing these fake highs, and it's just, it gives me a high to help others, and I know a lot of people get that as well. And I think sometimes a lot of people just are not aware of the fact that it can provide that. There's just nothing in the media, there's just nothing anywhere that promotes it positively, and I've actually, after the scaffold, I announced from that day on, that date, April 29th of every year, that I was going to retire that day and kind of call it a Hektik Thankful Day, a day where I give thanks and get as many. I get a lot of times people ask me, can we get involved in volunteering or whatever. So it's a day I kind of don't work anymore, and I always look to help others, less fortunate. And this year was postponed because of the grand final.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, you helped out in a way. Like, you got all those coaches.
Yeah. But you know what? On Sunday we got a bit of a reunion get together for the bus. Plus, we've got a few other friends coming around, and you are very invited as well tomorrow at Parramatta Park between 12 and 4.
Okay.
And it's a kick around, and it's a bit of a barbecue. And basically, what I'm also doing as a kind of first time, and something that will be very much better organised in the future, is a Hektik Thankful Day. A day where we help out this charity called Hawkesbury Helping Hands. And so we've lined that up, and we've talked, and I've got all the written approval for that. Just a day where maybe we can give like a can, any perishable item, non-perishable item, or a donation. Everything's all tax refundable, and it comes with receipts. And it's just a way where I'm trying to bring awareness of how cool it can feel to help others,
Okay.
Voluntarily. We're not put into these situations like this, person here, or like you're speaking about your brother, was it? I think. Yeah, and but it's a beautiful opportunity, which I think
Yeah, I think it's important that you definitely create the events and the forums where people can get that support and be able to talk about it and be able to do something as materials like
'cause it's
giving
kind
over
of
perishables.
anything about it just to do with caring. It's kind of not got a negative connotation, but it definitely doesn't have anything to look forward to. Do you know what I mean? Where I think it could be. Why not? How cool is it to give someone a hand? How cool do you feel when you help someone? I reckon. And some of us are lucky that we never will have that in our lives, that nobody will ever come into that. But you know what? Don't use that luck to think you this, that. Realise it, appreciate it, and go help somebody other as a way of saying thank you to life and to God, and to the fact that you're not forced to that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it makes sense, but
No.
I got it. And look, that's awesome that you're setting all this stuff up as well.
it's just a tiny little, my tiny little input, in the world, and I'm just trying to have a little positive kind of,
And I guess because
influence.
So what is it? April 29.
Yeah, every year. So
What's it called?
Hektik Thankful Day.
Hektik Thankful Day.
I'm going to organise it from next year, like a lot bigger and a lot. It takes a lot of organising. I didn't realise, so I kind of left the last minute. So it's brilliant. I've still got Hawkesbury Helping Hands, which is a local Western Suburbs organisation who helps the homeless. And I've been out there and I've spoken to the lady and I've met the homeless people there, and she just does it. It's not for profit. She just does it from a passion of her heart. It's something that I share with a passion for the less fortunate.
Does Wanderers help out at all with that at all? Have you connected with them?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure what Wanderers do.
Okay.
I'm sure they do something. I'll be very surprised if they didn't. I know the RBB definitely get involved and cop all the shit off we do off the media, and yet I know for a fact that RBB donate to charities and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
beautiful.
Yeah,
very positive.
I guess what you were saying before about it, how it's not really advertised, like where volunteering isn't really advertised. I guess a lot of the flack from there comes from society generally being, well, what's in it for me?
Yeah, totally.
It's not really helping just for the sake of helping or donating just for the sake of donating.
Yeah.
I think the most that you hear about is, some celebrity working in a soup kitchen or whatever. It's usually someone of some profile doing this, and but you don't really hear about the little guy so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which there isn't enough of. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's a day in, day out thing. I mean, it's not just something like a famous person will just pick like one day out of the week and then all of a sudden that gets focused and then people forget about it the next day. For some people this is life, know.
Yeah.
It'd be good to kind of get more focus on that. I suppose that's where you'd come from by actually focusing on this lady's struggle as well as a young carer, and to say that this isn't something she can necessarily get escape out of, and events transpired, they're out of her control, that's not a unique story as well.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Like, there's a lot of, and then it's sort of, and then there's some situations, the sick taking care of the sick, Yeah.
Like,
that's another thing entirely.
Yeah.
Which just,
I
Just thank God for respite carers is all I'm saying.
Well, respite carers, but there's also young carers support as well.
Yeah.
I know that they're about, and they provide, they can do a lot of respite young carers as well as just providing that place for a kid to just basically vent and say, well, look, this might be getting a bit over the top for me. This is what I'm doing day in, day out, and just be able to at least talk about it and make it real what they're going through. You know,
Sure.
Groups like that are important. Okay, well,
Are we sufficiently explained?
we explained helpfulness.
Excellent.